So, tell me something terrible. You ready to start this one?
Yep.
I already hit record.
Oh. All right then.
Smile, you're on Candid Camera. We're that old, by the way.
Oof.
Did you remember watching Candid Camera?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
That was like punked before it was punked.
Yeah, it was. Okay, I'm going to take one more. I'm going to lean back and take another sip here.
Now lean into it.
Nope. Fill the void.
Fill the void? Do you want me to yawn again? Because that's all I did in episode 7 was yawn the entire time.
Yep.
I feel much more energetic.
There's the mango that got a little bit of citrus right here. I feel citrus more than I taste
She's pointing
citrus.
at her sideburns.
I do. I need a dermaplane so hard.
She doesn't have sideburns.
Yes, I do.
She's an Elvis impersonator on the weekends.
Yep. All right, you ready to get started?
Are you all shook up?
So shook.
Ooh. Ooh.
Hi, I'm Tiffany,
And I'm Scott.
and you're listening to Tell Me Something Terrible.
I thought you were going to be like, and you're listening to, and you wanted me to say the tell me, and then you just said it.
Did you?
Our verbal cue, like our eye contact made me think differently than what was actually
I was
happening.
trying to will you to stop with the Elvis impersonation.
You just want me to scream out that I'm not nothing but a hound dog. Haven't we made a reference to Elvis at one point? Anyway.
I have no idea. It's been a long month.
I mean, my hip still hurts, so I can't dance like Elvis nor sing like Elvis. I did have sideburns, though, at one point in my life. So
I know.
any day they could come back. This beard can become sideburns
No, please don't.
on my birthday. Mustache and sideburns,
Oh, no.
right?
Oh, no.
Just going to walk around petting my mustache.
Please don't. Please, no. Your coworkers would love it, though. You'd have to walk around with the coffee with your elbow high up, though, and a donut in the other hand.
No, the key is I wouldn't pet it with my fingers. I would just use my tongue.
No, stop. It's awful because you could really do that. Oh God.
Okay, what's episode 8 about?
Okay, we're bringing it back home to Michigan.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So today we're going to talk about the deaths that have occurred on the Mackinac Bridge.
Mackinac?
Yep.
It's Mackinac.
Yep. And also some terrible facts that will make you never want to cross it again.
I have no problem crossing it. You're the weirdo.
I know. I hate it. When I went up north with she's really private. We probably shouldn't say her name.
I think you can say first names.
Yeah, you think she'd be okay with that?
Who, Charity and Jordan? Yeah,
Don't be
they're
a jerk.
fine. They're fine with it.
Okay. Well, I'm going to tell them that you threw them
worst
under
part is-
the bus.
You have more of a problem with drawbridges, so I don't know why the Mackinac
It doesn't
Island-
matter. All of them are just creepy. It's the gate. It's the gate. The grates that you draw. I made Jordan drive there and back over the bridge, and on the way back, I made her switch way too early, so she drove an hour and then finally got to the bridge and had to drive over. And Charity has this ridiculous photo of me with my hat over my face, just double chins galore, because I just couldn't handle. I just don't know why.
Just a bridge hater.
I can't do it. It was the same way.
Because you're a troll, you belong under them, not on top of them.
Probably.
That's a bad joke.
It was a very bad joke. A very local joke.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Ready?
No.
Nope. You want to start over?
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
So this is all deaths that happen on the bridge?
On and off the bridge.
Okay. For people who don't live here, Mackinac Bridge connects Michigan's lower and upper peninsula.
Can you stop stealing my shit?
I didn't know how in depth you were going to go in background.
I mean...
So if you hold your hand up, your right hand palm towards you, it goes right off your tip of your middle finger, straight up.
Yep. And then you can take your left hand and
don't-
put it thumbs up.
Yeah, that's a Youper thing. We don't deal with that.
What happens if we vacation by Tequananum Falls again? You got to show people this is where paradise is at. Nobody gives a shit. Anyway, ready to get started?
Nope. I want to go back to the hands and... Just kidding.
Okay. So I did want to start this episode with trigger warnings for both suicide and the fear of bridges and or heights.
Not the suicide part. But what's the fear of bridges actually called? Did you look it up?
It's agoraphobia or something like that.
Agura?
I don't know. I saw it multiple times, didn't write it down
Did
once.
it scare you every time you read it?
I didn't want to go too much into my weird ass fear of bridges. I don't know what my problem is. Probably
I assume it's like a fear of heights thing.
No, it might have a little bit of like suicidal ideation issues, but we don't talk about that.
Okay, so it's weird that bridges of all things, though.
Because you hit the water and you die.
Okay, well, yeah, that bridge, like...
I have self-control issues, okay? It's for my own safety that I have like this natural instinct to be afraid of heights.
What city were we in that had all the drawbridges? Was that Columbus? Or Cleveland? It was somewhere in Ohio.
Was
Cincinnati?
Where's the one we went to recently with the zoo?
Know. Anyway, that was Columbus. Columbus Zoo.
It was?
Yeah, because that's the one Lily watches a show about.
Yes.
But anyway, yeah, there was drawbridges everywhere. We couldn't go to like the
God.
gas station without you having a panic attack because we had to drive over a drawbridge.
I think a lot of it stemmed from like when we would take trips.
It's that sound, that clunk sound that would like...
Yeah, that's going over the grates. Mm-hmm. And then when we went out to Florida, there's a bridge called the Halfway Bridge, and you'd have to take it to get from like where we would stay with my aunt and uncle to... what the fuck? Panama City.
Don't ask me.
And I remember my mom, when I was like 8 years old, telling me about how like this like boat went underneath the bridge and it didn't have enough clearance and it just took the whole bridge out. So now it's a drawbridge. And I'm like, cool, guys.
So what she's saying is don't let your 8-year-old listen to this podcast before. You should actually listen to this on the way to the UP.
Yes. While crossing the bridge because it's 5 miles long.
Yep.
It's awful. Anyway, so we're going to do fun facts first. Ready?
Oh, I love a fun fact or 4.
So Mackinac Bridge connects the UP and the Lower Peninsula. In case you didn't catch on, yeah. So it spans the Mackinac Straits, and so it's a Native American term from the Ojibwa tribe. It's French Canadian also. It had shortened it because
this week's theme is French, by the way.
Apparently, that was an accident. So anyway, they shortened Michilimackinac, which is an extinct division of the Ojibwa tribe. And so because the settlers were so unwilling to try a new language, it got shortened just to Mackinac. So there's a very brief summary of the name, in case you're curious.
I love history.
It's Ojibwa.
It's Ojibwa?
Native American.
Okay.
I know you could tell. So the construction of the bridge was completed in 1957, and it stretches 5 miles across. From beginning to end, but I think this actual span was like 3,800 feet or something like that.
The bridge is younger than my parents.
Yeah,
that's pretty mind-blowing.
They started planning in like 1880 something. Like they were like, we need a bridge, and then it didn't get built until 1857.
For 7 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, it took a lot of technology.
I imagine, yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of bridges that were similar to its designs that had failed. So in other places,
Golden Gate built?
I have no idea. I didn't look into that.
I was just curious. I love to ask you questions that I know you won't know, but I just need to put out in the ether.
Just to make sure, just in case I do know, because I am a wealth of useless information.
Yes, just not.
Especially after all of this. I'm going to be great at parties. People are going to be like, this bitch don't ever shut up.
Well, she writes 2 5-page papers a week.
Yeah, fuck off. No, they're 3.5. Single spaced.
The Golden Gate Bridge was built in 1937.
Ooh.
May 27th.
Ooh, almost. So close.
Huh. I would not have guessed the Golden Gate was built before the Mackinac.
There were articles that referred to like the Mackinac being like the next grand bridge to shadow Golden Gate.
20 years after, though, that's quite a while. Especially in that the technology in that 20 years probably was crazy different than.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, proceed.
So anyway, it marks the border between Lake Michigan and Lake Huron. The bridge sits 200 feet above the freezing waters of the Great Lakes below. It can allegedly hold up to 38,486 pounds. Tons. Just kidding. 38,486 tons.
That makes more sense.
Yes.
Yeah, otherwise you have 20 cars on there and you're like, yeah, well, we're done.
Yes, it makes you a little bit safe, right?
Yeah, one car at a time goes trucking across.
Yes. So the Mackinac Bridge is a suspension bridge, which apparently is designed to sway with the heavy winds. that come across the lakes.
Let's hips don't lie.
So according to the bridge's website, it's more like a slowly like moving from side to side more than like a full-on sway.
It's like a bump and grind.
Yeah, yes. And it can shift in either direction up to 35 feet from center.
Okay.
It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
You seem fine.
It makes me sweaty.
I was gonna
I'm
say,
warm.
you've got
Can you feel
yeah,
how
no, I
big?
can see the shine on your forehead.
That's the oil. It's because I haven't washed my face in 12 hours. But the cheeks are getting warm. So the arch of the bridge and the literal steel grating that makes up the two lanes, the like inside lanes of the bridge, are designed for wind flow under the bridge and to move upward through the grating to reduce wind resistance. And it only closes once wind speeds hit 50 miles per hour.
How often do they hit 50 miles an hour?
I don't know.
I mean,
They're not closed very often. You can like tune into the radio or whatever. We've done that.
I imagine they get close too if there's like a foot of snow on them.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, you can go to their website if you really want to know.
Once a year, maybe.
Yeah. Still not a fan. My note. What happened? There's a blank sheet for you.
Bonus page.
Yeah, you can doodle on that. So rumor has it, which this seems to be the prevailing rumor, is that all superstructures, like other bridges and dams, like the Hoover Dam and such, that there are people buried in the concrete. There's not.
What? What a fun...
Well, you always hear that where it's like, oh yeah, there's people that have died in the pillars and the concrete,
Who's
and they've been buried
guy
in
Detroit that got like buried or died or whatever.
Oh my God, what?
There's like a famous dead guy case in Detroit.
Hoffman? Jimmy Hoffman?
Yeah.
No, that was like he's a gangster, and they're like, oh no, they encased him and buried him on Ford Field or whatever.
Ford Field,
No,
Silverdome, maybe.
Oh my gosh, I don't remember. Does it even matter?
Ford Field was built in like 08, so it kind of does matter, but no. I'm just saying, let's just throw him into this. Let's just wrap a couple conspiracies up in one.
Oh, all the conspiracy theories.
Yeah. I'm glad you actually knew the name, because otherwise we'd have just been here stumbling for 12 minutes trying to figure it out.
I told you, wealth of useless information. So, unfortunately, there are no bodies buried.
That we know of.
No, they know. They died other ways.
Have you been through every inch of concrete?
There are records. No one died in the concrete.
On purpose. Okay.
So, I do have a list of other deaths for you.
Oh, during construction?
During construction and after.
It's like
Ready?
It's like the Egyptian pyramids.
Aw, so sad.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure a lot of people died making the
Yeah.
pyramids.
The periods?
Yes. A lot of people, I'm sure, have died during periods.
Wow.
Anyway.
Wow.
So there was 5 workers that died in the construction. 1, a 49-year-old diver. I've labeled them as well. They're listed. Have
love
to
a
be
good bullet
listed.
point. Yep.
My brain. So there's a 49-year-old diver named Frank Pepper. He ascended too quickly from the depth of 140 feet on September 9th, 1954, and he died of the bends.
He died of what?
The bends. You know, when you raise too and get the nitrogen built up in the bubbles in your veins, and then you die.
Okay.
No.
I've never heard it
All right.
described as the bends.
It's called the bends.
I now know that.
All right.
But I learned that a minute ago. You learned that apparently longer ago than that.
Like decades ago. Where have you been?
You learned that when you were 10.
I don't think you realized what kind of books my mom let me read.
Okay.
So on October 10th, 1954, 26-year-old James Lesarge lost his balance and fell into a caisson. Caisson? Caisson. Not Cassian.
Okay.
That's a calculator. Caissons.
Isn't Casio like a phone or something?
I don't know.
Okay. Did he get the bends?
No, he didn't get the bends.
I've heard of the
caissons-
runs, just not the bends.
No, very different.
Yeah.
Doubtful you'll die of the runs. Anyway, the caisson, which is like this, I looked it up on Google. There's these watertight chambers that the workers used to do construction inside of. So he would be like the closest thing to buried in the concrete, because he's literally still, I don't know if he still is, but he fell into a 40-foot deep tunnel that was airtight that was used for construction.
Okay.
I'm assuming they retrieved his body because it
Probably,
is.
yeah.
But that would be like the closest thing because it's like the footings of the actual bridge.
Yeah.
So he fell 40 feet and most likely died of head injuries caused by impact with the crisscrossing beams in the caisson.
Oh, the visual of that. Just him falling down and like ragdolling through crisscrossing beams is pretty gruesome.
I thought you'd like that.
I don't know if like's the right word. But you're smiling a lot, so
It's because you're squirming.
that's
That makes me
terrifying.
happy.
Me? Oh, I twitch constantly.
So next was a 40-year-old Albert Abbott. He fell only 4 feet while working on an 18-inch wide beam. He fell into the water, and witnesses believed that he had had a heart attack.
Okay.
Yeah, he just like fell.
Temperature shock, whatever.
Yes.
Okay.
So Albert died on October 25th, 1954.
40's super young for a heart attack.
Yeah. Well, it could have been the water though. Like October 25th in the UP.
Oh yeah, that's cold.
Yeah. So deaths 4 and 5 were the last two workers during the construction. 28-year-old Jack Baker and Robert Coppin died when a catwalk collapsed near the north tower of the bridge on June 6, 1956. It was their first days on the job, and they fell 550 feet to the water below.
Holy cow.
Yeah. Jack Baker was found immediately, and after a 3-day search of the waters, Robert Coppin's body was never found.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, they looked for 3 days.
500 feet?
Yeah.
Jeez, oh, Pete's.
Yeah. It would be like hitting concrete at that point.
I would imagine it like 50 feet would be like hitting concrete.
Yeah.
At 500 feet, that's the worst part about that is you have time to know it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. Like, that's not like...
Oh, shit, I tipped.
Yeah.
Like,
what do you fall, like 9.8 meters per second
I
squared?
don't know.
Okay.
You're the one that made it to Calc 3.
I don't know.
So
It's 9.8 meters per second, right? That's like 30 feet per second. So you're talking like a good 20-second fall. That is horribly rough math. No idea if that's true.
And I doubt anybody's going to call you out on it.
I'll let them. Put it in the comments section after you give us a 5-star review on iTunes.
Yeah.
Please? Someone review us on iTunes, please. Both of you who listen, just kidding. I don't know how many people listen on iTunes, but we have Android. It's impossible to check iTunes.
Oh my God. So there is now a plaque memorializing the workers that died in the construction. One worker has died since the bridge has been completed on August 7th, 1997. How old were you?
In August of 97, I was 9.
Okay. Daniel Doyle fell 70 feet from a scaffolding while painting the bridge. He did manage to survive the fall, but died in the 50-degree water. He was found the next day in 95 feet of water below.
I was going to say maybe that was this year I first went to the UP, but I think that was like 2002 was the first time I ever went to the UP. Fun facts. That's when I broke my head open, by the way.
Oh, the scar?
Yeah.
Yeah, on the black diamond. What are those called?
Yeah, but I hit my head on the fence protecting the bunny hill. It's a long story, not for this podcast. That'll be its own terrible podcast.
Maybe we'll do like a subcategory in like Patreon where it's like, listen to our really dumb stories where we've all almost died. That'll be great. No one cares.
Shout out to our Patreon supporter.
One.
Yes.
We might get more than one. Never. So the next lives claimed by the bridge belong to United States Marine Corps Reserve officers Major Virgil Osborne, Captain James Robbins, and Captain Wayne Wisbrock. On September 10th, 1978, the 3 men were flying in a private plane in the fog over the Straits of Mackinac. Not realizing how low they were flying, the plane crashed into one of the suspension cables.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The impact of the collision tore the wings off the plane, which then plummeted into the water. All 3 men were killed in the crash.
What time of year was this?
September.
Okay. But still, I mean, the water's cold all the time anyway, but still, that's, yeah. So you're just in a fog, pretty much think you're in like that's terrible. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We have a theme.
Hey, we should make a podcast about that.
So there have only been 2 cars in the bridge's history that have ever fallen off of the bridge.
Did you see that? It's only 2 cars ever.
Ever. I'm aware. I know.
Okay.
Thank you.
65 years or whatever of being a bridge. 2 cars.
I know. Okay. It can still be terrifying. Did you not hear the part where it can shift? What's 35 times 2? 70?
Yeah.
70 feet across.
It doesn't shift 70 feet while you're driving over it.
It can if the winds are bad enough.
Whatever.
Anyway, on September 22nd, 1989, 31-year-old waitress Leslie Pluhar drove...
one.
Yes.
You're gonna...
that was the next question. Anyway, Leslie Pluhar drove her 1987...
Sorry.
What you giggling about over there?
I thought you said Pluhar. It's the most childish of jokes. I wish you would have just ignored my laughing. But anyway.
She dies.
Tell me about Miss Pluhar.
So she drove her 1987 Yugo onto the Mackinac Bridge. It was a rainy, gusty day, and eyewitnesses described seeing the little blue Yugo swerve out of control.
What is a Yugo?
It's a car from Germany.
I assume it's a car. But...
Your dad's never told you about the Yugos? Because mine has.
No, my dad had a Dart, but not a Yugo.
My dad's had a Dart as well.
Yeah? My dad's first car was... Or his car when they got married was a Dart. I don't know if that was his very first car, but...
Yeah.
Your dad's had every car because he kills cars.
He does. He shoots them sometimes, too.
Oh, and he's now a listener, right?
Maybe.
Sup, Ted? There's no way he made it to episode 7.
No. He's going to come back to me with his phone like, can you help me? Even though I've explained it to him 1,000 times.
Okay, keep going.
So anyway.
Where'd you go?
Out of control. So it swerved out of control and into oncoming traffic. Stop.
No, this is terrible. Proceed.
So it veered into oncoming traffic and then back again, and then it slammed head on into the curb railing. And then the car skidded along an outer railing for about 40 feet before hitting a vertical suspension cable, and it flipped over the side and into the water.
So she's one of the 2?
She was the first of the 2.
Okay.
Yep. So the car then plummeted 150 feet to the water's surface below and continued its downward plunge, coming to rest 100 feet under the water.
Holy cow. I imagine it's a pretty small car, but what year was
Yeah,
this?
they're tiny. 1987.
So it's probably heavy, though. Like, cars back then were built, like, heavy. So it probably sunk like crazy, yeah.
Yep. And so for 4 days after the accident, 12 divers searched for the car and whoever could be inside it. And so using sonar, they found the car perched on a ledge of a big cliff, like drop off into the water. So the wreckage had to wait another 4 days to be pulled from the water due to high winds and rough waters. So finally, after 10 hours of hard labor, the Yugo was resurfaced and Leslie's body was able to be identified by her family. So according to an article from the Tri-County Times, quote, she died of blunt force trauma and drowning when she plunged 150 feet to the water and then 100 feet to the lake bottom.
Okay, so not when she hit the median, it was when she hit the water?
Yeah.
More than likely?
Yep.
With the drowning and all?
Mm-hmm. So throughout all of this research, I saw in an article somewhere that it said that speeding and reckless driving may have been factors to Leslie's accident. I can't remember where the hell I found that, but I do remember reading it somewhere because whenever something like this happens, they look into deficiencies in the bridge.
There's no security cameras at that point.
No. So I'll just go ahead and say that allegedly speed was a factor because I think the speed over the bridge is 45 and then they will make you go slower depending on like weather conditions.
How much it's swaying 70 feet left to right.
I swear to fucking God, I can't. I can't. Ugh.
I'm going to go over it at 3 miles an hour next time.
I hate you so much.
So it takes like 30 minutes.
I will just get out and walk the rest of the way. How long is the bridge? It is from like where it starts from like toll to toll is 5 miles.
Okay, but the whole over the water's not 5 miles.
No, it's like 3,800 feet over the water, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Still. So the second car to ever fall off the bridge was driven by Richard Daraban.
Perfect.
On March 2nd, 1997, he drove his 96 Ford Bronco over the edge of the bridge. So it was later determined...
What year was the OJ Bronco thing?
That one I cannot tell you. All I know is that apparently it's white.
And it's famous, and you didn't know that.
Fuck right off. I don't know how.
I'm a fountain of useless info, but I didn't know what OJ was driving. And
I knew it was a Bronco. I just didn't know it was white. Even though I've literally seen footage of it, my brain did not retain that piece of information.
It's because you're colorblind. Just kidding.
Is that a glasses joke?
No. It's because you think I don't know colors.
You don't. That chair was purple.
Proceed.
So through a court case to look for deficiencies in the bridge, it was determined to be a suicide.
The Bronco guy? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, they just decided that because there was no way he could have
so there's
done
only
that.
Been 2 cars ever to go over the edge. One was unintentional, but she might have been driving recklessly.
Yes.
And the second one was a suicide?
Yes.
Okay.
So that starts the really dark and sad list of what I have ahead of us.
Of suicides off the bridge? Mm-hmm. Oh, this is going to be cheery.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
So there are no pedestrians allowed on the bridge. So luckily the number of suicides completed off the Mackinac Bridge is low.
Except for like once a year they do the walk across.
Yeah. Just wait.
Great.
And they tend to be fairly rare. There has been over a dozen recorded in the history of the bridge, and I couldn't find all of them because most of them there's not a lot of information.
Yeah.
So I did list sort of some of them that I did find. The Michigan State Police have a policy to not comment or discuss any suicides associated with the bridge because they don't want copycats.
Copycat, like people getting an idea to do it?
Yeah.
Oh,
and it happens. So I also kept seeing a Mackinac Bridge jumper from like September 12th, 2020 that popped up like whenever I did this research.
Mm-hmm.
But there wasn't a single reputable site mentioning it. And a couple of them gave me that like danger, like the yellow like triangle with the exclamation point, like turn back.
Yeah.
Some of them weren't in English. So I was like, I don't think this actually happened.
Yeah.
Or maybe it did. And maybe we just stumbled upon a conspiracy.
Dun, dun, dun.
So
picked up by aliens.
Yes. So officially the most recent occurred in April 2014, and police were called to the scene at 6:40 a.m. to report the report of someone jumping. The only info is confirmation that it's a Livingston resident that died.
Okay.
That's it. So then on December 31st, 2021, just before 5 p.m. that evening, troopers arrived to find an abandoned car in the middle of the bridge. Witnesses reported seeing police scanning the water and questioning people. Despite aerial searches and water searches from the Coast Guard, a body was never found. And that article was even updated in 2019, and they still hadn't found a body. So,
I mean, the water's not stagnant there, so it'd probably be very tough to
and
find.
It's very big.
It's deep and it's wide.
Yeah. So in January of 2010, 55-year-old nurse Patricia Elder of Gaylord completed suicide. A helicopter was dispatched and a diver was able to find her. She had worked as a nurse for the Otsego Memorial Hospital, Hospice of Michigan, and for the Health Department of Northwest Michigan. I want to focus on like the good things a little bit.
Yeah. I was going to say, the jokes here are going to be few and far between.
Yes. So on December 12th, 2009, a 24-year-old woman named Brandy jumped from the bridge at 3 a.m., falling nearly 100 feet. After an exhaustive search, including helicopters and dive teams, the Coast Guard, they were unable to find her. Detective Robin Sexton, the lead on the search, said that in a phone interview that they had exhausted all of their resources and that the weather had deterred them from making any attempts to do so. He was quoted saying, "These are always tragic. We never have all the answers. We never have enough answers."
It does make you wonder how often this happens and they're not reported at all.
Yeah, because I would imagine at 3 a.m., why would you be going from one UP to the other unless you like work in that area?
Or, I mean, yeah. I mean,
maybe some hunters.
Yeah, but yeah, it's probably that's probably the time it would happen most because it is so unfrequently traveled at that time of day.
Definitely. So, September of 2008, a traveler across the Mackinac Bridge saw a woman jump on the morning of September 7th. And again, the state police did not like giving a lot of information out because they are focused on preventing copycats. She was found. In 2007, there was a tragic 3 suicides from the bridge, one in February, one in August, and one in November. And then in 2002, not 2002.
I mean, both are correct. Just
Sure.
one sounds better.
Yep. In 2002, a mother jumped from the bridge while holding her daughter.
Oh, that's terrible.
I told you. A daughter would be mentioned
Had to
at some
slide
point.
one in there.
Yeah. And the most heavily witnessed one that I found occurred on September 7th, 1987, during the bridge walk.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
It's like a charitable thing, right?
I don't know. No, I think it's just an event, and the governor usually like heads it and they walk.
I think now it's charity or something.
Yeah, probably. I would imagine.
Yeah.
So it happens every Labor Day. So this one's real terrible. Over 50,000 people walked across the Mackinac Bridge that day. Ronald Currier and his wife were among them. Toward the middle of the bridge at 1:45 p.m., witnesses saw Ronald remove his coat, climb over the rail, and onto an I-beam. He jumped. He fell 170 feet into Lake Huron. Divers did find his body 3 hours later, submerged in 87 feet of water. No one knows why he did it.
Huh.
So
I don't get why. I mean, doing it during that kind of event, like
with your wife
yeah,
and witnesses.
you're making some sort of statement, but only he knows.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They don't know why.
it's crazy.
Yep. So on that note, how do you feel?
It's overwhelmingly sad. Mm-hmm. Some parts were, informative, but most of it was just terrible. Which I mean, that's what we're here for.
Mm-hmm. And now you know the kind of like terrible side of the bridge.
I mean, in terms of like jumping to like, because especially that part of Michigan, like you're not going to jump off of like a building. Like
No.
there's no skyscrapers
No.
in that part of the state. So I mean, if that's the way you want to go, I guess your options are kind of limited.
There's a lot of people that drove there though,
Yeah, I mean, okay, but
like
even,
hours.
but I mean, anywhere around there, like if you don't want to like if that's the way
You're not going to
if
survive.
you want to jump and know you're gonna like that, I guess that's your best option. Which is
How about we don't tell people that?
not like best
I
option.
know
like,
what you
like,
mean.
Of all these really great options, this is your number one. But no, I'm saying like I get where if it's like that's the way you want to go, like that's
I think there was an attempted suicide in then he did survive it.
yeah. I mean
that probably would have been like
it's sometimes
lighthearted to include.
It's sometimes 100 feet. Like you see people jump off of crazy stuff, but like
Oh, yeah.
that water is not forgiving.
No, and at some point there's a certain height that you hit. You okay there?
That
Dog?
if you could pick up that rattle, that was our dog just freaking out a little bit.
Like at some point at a certain height and speed, hitting the water is like hitting concrete.
Yeah, for sure. But no, it definitely it will. I won't be so like excited to go over the bridge next time as I usually am.
Good. I just needed a little bit of empathy
It's
out
a
of you.
beautiful bridge.
It is.
It's a nice view.
It sucks to drive over. It sucks so
It's
hard.
fine to drive over unless you're a
Me?
weirdo. Yeah.
There's a lot of people. They have a whole program.
No, I'm going to ask you, how do you feel now? after
Sweaty. Thank you.
that? Sweaty. No, she's anxiously cracking her knuckles.
It's fine.
You're fine.
Everything's fine.
If you made it this far, congratulations. Since you stole my thunder last episode.
I'm so sorry.
You're not.
No, I'm not.
Also, at some point this weekend, we may be recording our first bonus episode, which is exciting.
For the Patreon.
Yep, for our patron. Which, if you go to Patreon and search Tell Me Something Terrible, it's just like a monthly donation, like as little as $1 a month, and then you can get access to it. And in that one, I am going to have to do research and tell the story to Tiff, which is more effort than I wanted it to be.
And will
So,
probably be significantly less funny.
it'll be shorter.
I just don't have as quick a wit as you.
I can make jokes while I tell a story. No, she's much funnier than she gives herself credit for.
Yeah.
There'll probably be significantly more swearing. So if you're into that, that's more her comedy.
I do have a bad mouth.
But no, so if you're interested in that and you want, even more of this for some reason, go to there. And we'll be posting on our Patreon.
Yes.
So
Oh,
keep an eye out for that.
And there's different tiers, and each of them kind of get you a little bit more.
Yeah, we're going to have buttons soon.
Yes. Pins.
What's the difference?
One's like a thin tin thing, and then the other one's a little more substantial.
Okay, we're going to have pins soon. So anyway, keep an eye on that if you want. Or you can just follow us or like us or whatever on social media or on wherever.
And tell your friends.
Tell your friends. Be like, hey, terrible person who has a dark sense of humor like me. Listen to this thing.
Yep, just like that.
You might think they're funny, or you won't. Either way, we'll take their pity listen. We don't care. We're not above that.
No.
Anyway, thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
I said it first.
So the sources for this episode is the MackinacBridge.org, Wikipedia, a bunch of articles regarding the jumps on PetoskeyNews.com, MLive, AP News, Sioux Today, SOO, like the Indians, Native Americans, Today.com, and an article from Tri-County Times. Thanks for listening to our terrible podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, or wherever you like to listen. Feel free to follow us on Twitter at TMSTPod.
And if you'd like to support the show, you can find us on Patreon at Tell Me Something Terrible.
Oof, that was terrible.